Всем привет, дамы и господа, с вами Евгений Власов, и это подкаст «Деловерт», и это первый выпуск второго сезона. Мы наконец-то нашли место, где развернуть нашу огромную студию, и сегодня у нас в гостях Бретт Финк.
Да.
Он является... Он живет со мной вместе в доме, на самом-то деле. Мы здесь мутим одно интересное предприятие. I'm just saying that we do in this house.
Friend match.
And в чем фишка этого выпуска? Этот выпуск будет, естественно, как вы поняли, на английском. In English, yeah? We speak English here in America, right?
Да.
Бретт может сказать «да».
Джигурда.
Джигурда.
Да. Да. Да.
Отлично. That's great. I'm gonna mute it then.
It's fine. It's fine. Your 16 Russian subscribers will appreciate the fact that I know пизда.
Alright. Так что, товарищи, практикуйте свой английский вместе с Бреттом, и этот выпуск будет о Снапчате, о 500 Startups, потому что Бретт сначала работал в Снапчате, а сейчас он работает в 500 Startups. Он даже, видите, у него футболочка 500. Я даже могу показать его супер телефон. Is that right? Is that right? Alright, Brett. Let's just dive right into it. Couple of words. You want to introduce yourself? Where did you grow up?
Grew up in New York native. I went to school in Boston at Northeastern University and have been in tech for about 4 years now.
In tech.
In tech.
Are you a programmer?
I can dabble a little bit on the computer, but mostly biz dev type of roles.
Business development.
That's it.
Right? Before starting to work in 500 Startups, before coming to San Francisco, you worked in Snapchat.
I did.
For how long?
10 months officially.
10 months.
Yep. So almost a year.
Back then, we talk about at the end of 2014, you started to work there?
Beginning 2015.
2015.
Or sorry, middle of 2015.
How many people back then worked when you were just hired?
About 400.
400?
Yeah.
And right now it's over 1,000? Or
I would say it's about 16 to 1,700.
1,600.
Yep. So 4 times growth
So
in a year.
Since then, the company grew. Wow.
I mean, roughly, like you have like your acquisitions and things like that, which change your.
They've been buying lots of companies.
They bought Bitmoji. I think was the most recent acquisition that I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
There's like Luxy or some other. There's
Luxury.
Luxury. Yeah.
They're from Odessa.
Right, Odessa. They had the Ukrainian company. Who I met some of them. They were really cool. They had working on some
There's
good
like
stuff.
3 guys there working.
They have a huge team. They have a huge team in the Ukraine actually. Snapchat does, yeah.
So they got acquired, and they have their office still back there in Ukraine. That is officially now. So it used to be Luxury, their office in Ukraine, but now it's Snapchat.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
So Snapchat basically now has an office in Ukraine.
Yes, exactly.
What did you do in Snapchat?
I worked as a generalist, so there were like a few projects I worked on. One of them was Story Explorer. I was a content moderator there, so working with like the live stories team, the special projects team.
Is that these stories that when you swipe all the way to the right, you have from like Daily Mail, BuzzFeed?
Those are Discover platforms. I was working on launching the app, which would let you swipe up and see what else was in a geofence area located around a certain group of photos. So let's say you're on the Santa Monica Pier and somebody posted something on the Santa Monica Pier about like a show that was happening. You could swipe up and then look at the other photos that were on the Santa Monica Pier in that same geofence location.
Right now, it's not implemented in the app.
I believe that it still might be, but it's just not a very big feature anymore. So that was the original project that I started on at Snapchat. And then from there I worked on a few projects with creative strategy, the sales team, and then I ended my time with bugs and user operations. So working on trying to help enhance the experience for Snapchat users.
You said you were 400 employee or
around
something
there.
like that.
Around that number. Yeah.
Tell me, or tell us and our viewers and subscribers and listeners, those guys.
That's you.
Tell us the culture, Snapchat culture. Because Snapchat is very innovative. Like the 26-year-old guy running the company.
It's changed a lot, and the thing with Snapchat is when you walk on campus, it's not like there's one building where everyone is. There's maybe 15, 20 different buildings on campus, and that ranges across 7 blocks in Venice, California, which are all along the water. And then we also have like an office in Marina del Rey. We have an office in New York. We have an office in Chicago and Seattle and San Francisco. So the team as a whole, it's not like you're seeing everybody all the time unless you're at like a company event of sorts or anything like that. Other than just being separated from everyone, every office kind of has their own vibe, their own culture. So the offices that I was a part of.
Every office, sort of interruption, every office based on the location, or every office is
every office based on the department that they're in,
so
because it's all different management.
They're trying to keep the departments together in one building, right?
Not entirely. So most buildings that are different they keep the department in that building together. Mm-hmm. So it's not like product is with engineering in the same building. It's like engineering has a building, product has a building, user ops has a building.
Why that?
It's just, I don't know the strategy behind it, but it seems like it just makes sense. Like you want your teams to be in their buildings, and then if you have to go see a team, you go to their building.
Interesting.
Seems just intuitive from where Venice is. I think Evan...
Venice is a pretty hipster place. Why even starting a company there?
Well, I think Evan is from LA, if I'm not mistaken. He's from maybe the Valley. Yeah. So it made sense to build it in LA, where like up here in San Francisco, everything's like huge costs, and that is an issue. And it just seems kind of like Snapchat's vibe is to be like against the grain / kind of secretive about what they do.
So are they secretive?
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's part of it's
more like Apple secretive, or more secretive.
They're secretive, like within the teams. It seems like people really enjoy like having surprises, even if you're like on a team in Snapchat. It's like we want you to be surprised and with what the releases are going to be. So there's definitely some like offices at Snapchat that may not have like the information that other offices do.
So there is no culture of openness, collaboration.
Unless you're working directly with someone, then there might be that culture. But it seems mostly that everyone kind of keeps their projects on the low for the most part.
So even the employees are sometimes surprised with the new features inside the application.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
I would assume that's with larger companies too, like your Microsofts. I'm sure there's areas of Microsoft that are innovating and you have no idea because you just work in a different area.
But aren't you agree that everyone's trying to be a startup right now? Like everyone's trying to have the startup culture and to have that, open space offices, collaboration, so the startup culture will bring the new projects and the stuff will not get lost into the bureaucracy, let's say. And that's what I thought that Snapchat will do. Like Facebook, they try to get everyone in one place, all the main engineers, and like mingle all the time and have them together everywhere. And we have Snapchat, where the guy, Evan, basically is trying to like Venice Beach is not. It's not a business center.
No, it's not.
It's hard to find properties in there. It's basically he's renting these little houses. It's just house after house after house.
But what happens is it makes it like you are the top dog. Like literally, Snapchat is the top dog in Venice. There is nobody else.
Of course.
There's nowhere else to go. So they do internal, like council and some other events that you would go to, happy hours and stuff like that between just Snapchat employees. So there is like a breeding culture that they want to portray and they want to take care of their employees, but it's just that it's very much like on the low, like that's what it's about. It's like don't be in the middle of a business center because you don't need to be, because Snapchat's doing other things.
You don't think that they need to be inside the environment, the tech environment?
I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to this.
Yeah.
I think you get benefits from one, you get benefits from the other. Something that really struck me was Snapchat had a beachfront property with a Snapchat sign on the beachfront property.
Yeah.
Before I got the Snapchat, and they ended up selling that property and taking the sign off and making everything very like low key. Even though that sign generated a lot of traffic, a lot of publicity, a lot of pictures. I thought that was a really interesting move because I think publicity is good. Like you
the
should
move
want
of
to
selling the house.
the move of not just selling the house, but like but just becoming more low profile.
Yeah.
Having that sign out there gave people an opportunity to act with a physical product rather than Snapchat, which is just a software product, and now Spectacles, which is the hardware product that they have because they're now Snap Inc. and a camera company. So now Snapchat has become Snap Inc.
Yeah.
So
Snap Inc. Just like Google became Alphabet Inc.
Right. So I think they definitely keep a low profile in Venice. I know that there are protests going on in Venice right now because of Snapchat being there, because it's changing the culture, almost like gentrifying. It's like there's a group of people there who can't afford the raising of rent because Snapchat just comes in and snags everything up.
Right.
I don't know how you solve this issue. I thought Snapchat was doing good things for Venice in certain ways, but obviously also doing bad things because it is taking people out of that community.
Venice is still Santa Monica, right? Or
Venice is its
LA?
own. It's another neighborhood. So Santa Monica is a different neighborhood. Venice is a different neighborhood, but Santa Monica is also considered like a city.
Yeah, Santa Monica. Is
but like Venice
from LA.
Venice is still just like a neighborhood.
Back to the Spectacles, by the way. Tell us a little bit about them.
Spectacles.
What do you know about them?
Spectacles are super interesting.
Were they there when you were there?
Yes, I know they aggressively hired for a hardware team. It's always been alluded to be like VR, AR, mixed reality. What are we doing with that? I mean, overall, it's out now. They're going to release it. It's a very interesting hardware product.
Did they do their official announcement?
They did. They had an official announcement. I think that the Spectacles product is going to be much different than Google Glass, where you have Google Glass was for every tech douchebag who wanted, to look cool and have like their email in their face. But what Spectacles is, it's a consumer approach. It's saying, hey, consumers, you have a moment. If you want to capture that moment, you just tap your glasses and be able to record that, and that would be a great thing. So I think this is the start of their virtual reality, augmented reality, whatever that movement's going to be. Spectacles is the start. We're gonna see Spectacles be a product for the consumer, starting with just taking 10-second videos to upload to memories, and then from there we're gonna start seeing a forward movement within the wearable community for actual glasses. So I don't know what will be included in that, and this is all just speculation, but I think there will be some mixed reality / augmented reality products coming out of the Spectacles area.
So you think they are changing? That's maybe the reasons why they're dropping that chat in the second.
Snapchat is just a product.
Snapchat
Spectacles
is
a product.
Chat application, and now with the Snap Inc, they can be anything.
They can have more products.
So you think now, before they were really heavy on the application, they didn't move anywhere outside the application, outside of the main product, and now they are developing the hardware product. So now they will be Snapchat and plus wearable glasses, and they will be developing all the other products and acquiring possibly other companies and startups who are doing something in the area of hardware.
Yeah, absolutely.
Snapchat. Is it known when they're gonna start to sell Snap? What do they call
Spectacles? Spectacles.
That's the official name, right?
Yeah. I don't know when they're selling it. I don't think that was released. But
was it like a leak? Was it a leak or?
It was originally a leak by Business Insider.
Yeah.
That was the initial pushing out of Spectacles. There was a photo taken.
There were pictures already.
There were pictures. Yeah. There were pictures already. There was a leak by Business Insider, and then here we are now with a full. They basically said this is happening. This is what we're doing. The release hasn't been. The release date has not been.
So let's elaborate a little bit more on why is it different from Google Glasses. We have Google Glasses, by the way.
We do have Google Glass.
In the house.
It's just the difference is Google Glass was not for everybody. Google Glass was not,
And they didn't release them, right?
right.
They
Google-
were like
Google Glass-
$3,000 developer kits.
Right, exactly. Google Glass wasn't released for everybody. It was with certain people in mind to try it out. And what Snapchat is doing is they're taking their group, their demographic, 13 to 34, these millennials who are sucked in their phones, and they're giving them something. They have hundreds of thousands of daily active users who are constantly using the app. Now these people have something that is physical that they can use to capture the things in their daily life. This is something that hasn't been done yet. There was maybe one company, Narrative, which was doing a clip-on video camera, which is the only draw that I could think would be something that is a
Similar to
competitor.
that.
But besides that, no one's done this. This is definitely a consumer-first approach, and this is not the only thing they're going to be releasing. I think it's going to be hugely successful because of what they're doing, because they're doing it in a different way, and because people wanted the Google Glass, but Google just didn't make it worthwhile or affordable to them.
Regardless of all that success that you believe in, you left Snapchat.
I did. I left Snapchat not because I didn't believe in the company, but because it was at such a hyper-growth stage where I felt that I wasn't going to get everything I could get out of moving to another opportunity. I wasn't expecting to leave Snapchat. I basically was sitting there saying, okay, well, I'll keep trying to learn as much as I can and keep trying to work my way up until I got a call from 500 basically saying that there was something and they were interested, and we had a conversation, and it seemed like the right move at the time because I want to be more involved in the early stage scene where I'm working with companies now that are, 1 to 3 founders, and that's it.
Like StatsBot.
And like StatsBot, yeah.
They had it on our show.
StatsBot, yeah, they are from Russia. Great product, great company, and I get to work with those types of people all the time.
When is the demo day for this batch?
Next week. Next week. It'll be next
3 months past.
3
StatsBots.
4 months.
4 months.
4 months. This is the end of the 4th month. Yeah.
Okay.
So preview day is tomorrow. So we'll have everyone kind of preview to investors, and then demo day will be next week, and that'll be StatsBot and some other, our 46 other batch companies. They'll have an opportunity to go speak.
That was the San Francisco batch for 500, right?
And
46 companies.
Exactly, and Mountain View started this week.
And then the Mountain View, another location of 500, just drafted another 46 companies.
45, 46, something around there.
Yeah. Why is it called 500 though?
So, I don't know the exact story behind it, but Dave McClure, who was one of the founding partners, ran a blog called 500 Hats. And this blog gained in popularity within like the VC space, and that's kind of where like the name rooted from. I don't know the real story behind it. I wish I knew. I see Dave and Christine and like the founding partners around the office, but I don't have like direct conversations with them. Not yet. Not until I get a little deeper.
You haven't had a couple of beers with him yet.
Exactly.
Yeah. I just still have a couple of questions about Snapchat. What do you think the future of Snapchat?
I mean, I said it before. It's really gonna.
Now there's a VR.
It's gonna be all this hardware. That's it.
Hardware.
I think most all of it is going to be around hardware. The app will still work and they'll still support it and they'll still make updates to it. But I think they're looking to become a true camera company, like a camera company. Like they're going to be using cameras to do other things. So that's what it looks like to me. Of course, I could be wrong. This is speculation.
Because Instagram released stories. And it was complete ripoff from Snapchat. Because Snapchat story...
Snapchat doesn't own stories.
They don't know...
Snapchat doesn't own the way that people consume
I
media.
think they own stories. It's something that they created. It's something that evolved out of their platform. They were struggling with that Snapchatting, the hiding pics, right? Yeah. And then they released the stories, and that's when they got this whole avalanche of new users, because all their users now could have... It's like, for me, the Snapchat story is before and after. It's before the stories, where it was completely only 12-year-olds, only like, maybe not 12-year-olds, but like high schoolers, only dick pics and nothing else. And then there was stories where people started to interact more How did you start? You 25.
So the whole dick pic thing is actually a fallacy. It doesn't. It's not really a thing. It's not really what Snapchat.
That's how I
started
started to use Snapchat.
There are people who like make that joke, but realistically, like the numbers of growth on Snapchat was people were using it just as they do today to send pictures to their friends, and this like kept growing. And stories was something that was actually like much later implemented. It was implemented like year 3, I think, or like end of year 2.
Yeah.
And it's something that it was cool, and Snapchat like did it first, but they're not the only people who have been in like this space.
Mm-hmm.
They're the people who got the most traction underneath this space. So for them to say Instagram is a complete rip-off, Instagram does something different. Instagram is about communication, showing pictures that don't disappear, and getting a following, like putting yourself out there, putting your product out there. So like Instagram has an incredible amount of celebrities on their platform. Take these celebrities and look at them in comparison to Snapchat, where there is no like follow this person feature. Snapchat is communication between friends. Instagram is larger. So Instagram says, okay, well, this works for some people. They like communicating like this. Let's do this better. Let's make it so celebrities can now do stories, and everyone can see these celebrity stories. And it's a great way for people to grow their brand. So technically, Snapchat never owned the story concept, and Instagram is doing something totally different than Snapchat. And I think it's a shame that people really think that this is just like a rip-off of Snapchat, because it's smart. It's smart.
It's not completely different. It's very close. You don't think that it's gonna withdraw lots of users from Snapchat?
The use of it, like I take a snap and it goes up for 24 hours and then it disappears, that's similar. The purpose is different. Snapchat is a communication tool between friends. It's not meant to grow a following. They've done this many times. Influencers on Snapchat don't exist. Instagram is a platform for influencers and creators to show those things. Snapchat is a platform for me to show you as my friend what I'm doing today.
But that's, as the company grows, they're looking for the new ways to expand, and they venture into other people's basically business. And that's how I think the stories, where Instagram ventured into something that originally belonged to Snapchat. They didn't own the concept, they didn't invent that. But this whole thing of holding your phone and like looking what happened with the person during the day, and it's safe for 24 hours only. It's here's
the ephemerality is the big part. Snapchat started a part of the ephemerality movement.
Ephemerality?
Ephemerality means the ability for a picture to come on and then disappear. That's basically what it is. It's like the disappearing factor. There's some other groups who have done ephemeral things, but Snapchat was the largest group to have ephemeral.
Ephemeral, right?
Yeah.
Is that how you spell it?
Ephemeral.
Ephemerity.
Yeah.
All right.
Ephemerity.
Ephemerity.
Yeah, there you go. Whatever. So Snapchat had that. So I would give them credit for raising awareness of what the ephemeral movement was. But if you look at like Facebook, like the only variable that we're changing is whether the picture lasts or not. When I was on Facebook 6-7 years ago, I was still looking through people's photos during their day because people use Facebook in a different way. I would post many more photos on Facebook because Instagram and Snapchat didn't exist. So the core concept of people saying that Instagram stole Snapchat's idea, it's bullshit. It's an easy way for them to like just say, oh, Instagram's not being innovative, but Instagram's doing something totally different. And I applaud them, because I think that people at Snapchat who work at Snapchat, and I think that people in the social media field should be constantly forced to innovate. Because if they're not, they'll end up like Twitter. Look at Twitter. Twitter hasn't made a major change to product in a year, 2 years maybe, besides like the stars to likes instead. Like, that's not a major innovation. If you don't innovate, you fall behind and you lose.
They bought Vine, they bought Periscope. I think their innovation, they preserved the main core of...
But what are they doing with that?
What are they doing there?
They're not doing much.
They're embedding that into the tweets. Like, you can have the 7 seconds loop video.
It wasn't successful. Those were not successful acquisitions. And whatever, that's fine. Twitter's another story, but what I'm saying is Instagram is forcing Snapchat to innovate, and now Snapchat has to respond, and they have with spectacles,
Yeah.
but they need to continue to do that.
Yeah.
They're not going to be the only one who are going to have wearables that do what Snapchat does.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't matter if you're the first. Uber was the first. Look at Lyft. Lyft is a huge competitor. There's competitors all over the world for the rideshare market. It doesn't matter if you're first. It matters what you're doing with your product.
When will Snapchat go public?
People say it's happening now. People saying that they're like filing IPO paperworks. If you look historically, I mean, like Facebook went after year 10 and then had issues and then did ad retargeting. Snapchat makes good money. They make revenue.
Are they profitable?
Yeah. I mean, they have a few products. I mean, think about it. Advertising on Snapchat, Discover, so like money coming in from that. So and your advertisers, on-demand geofilters, which is like you could buy a geofilter for your wedding. Now Spectacles as a physical product. They definitely generate revenue. What that revenue is, I can't disclose. Like I don't really know all of it. But they're profitable, and I think they could do a fine job if they IPO. But I can't see it happening for another year or two minimum.
Technically, if we'll go in details, they are not profitable because they are still venture funded. So all that money that's been invested in them, I don't think.
Technically.
Technically. But they do make money.
But they do make money.
And
yes.
since it's not a public company, we don't know what are the exact numbers, and
Right.
that's why it's only speculations.
Right.
My last example with Snapchat would be about how it grew in Russia. In Russia, no one used Snapchat because there was basically no... It's very important for companies, the traction, the actual people who stand behind the product. And that's what you see here in the Valley all the time, that some products are good products, great engineers. But if you don't have that force, the people, the leader who's driving all that,
Right.
that person with the connections, then it's just not going to work.
Right.
And Snapchat didn't do anything in Russia, and there was no partnership, there was nothing. So no one used Snapchat, no one understood why is it. And then people like the tech people in Russia, they knew about Snapchat. They hear all the time, $20 billion company, $20 billion valuation. People played a little bit, but still not much. And then when Instagram came with the stories, I have so many people using the stories on Instagram, yet I've never seen them on Snapchat, or they never used Snapchat.
Well, this is a perfect point, is why you can't own a feature on an app. You can't own having stories, because what it is just a way of people to express themselves in a different way. They could do that in many different occasions. All Snapchat is a product. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, they're going to disappear, and then somebody else will come in and do something similar that will be more with the times.
Right.
If it's not Snapchat, it'll be somebody else.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I applaud Instagram still for their decision. And I think that's like a perfect reason why.
Backstabbing decision.
Call it backstabbing, but every
like
social media stems from something.
Yeah.
Like when Evan made Snapchat, there was a hole there that he could fill, and he took what he knew of social media and applied it slightly differently. Yeah. Instagram did the same thing.
All right, let's finish that Snapchat thing. You still use Snapchat?
I still use Snapchat. I don't use it as much. I found that once you get to a certain amount of followers on Snapchat, and once you kind of like you have a lot of people that are using it, it becomes too cumbersome of an app. So I think it would be in their best interest to introduce groups at some point, have some sort of grouping method, or have some way of better identifying how to send snaps to people, because I think right now I have, maybe 500 contacts on my Snapchat, mm-hmm. and then I have like 1,500 followers. Mm-hmm. So it becomes really hard to be able to like message out people and message.
Like you would want to snap something and share it to your story, but then you know that it goes out for 1,400, and instead you would like to share it with, let's say, 30 people or 40 people. Yeah. Those are kind of problems, right? Yeah. And at the same time, people who are posting their stories, you would like to see them, your friends.
But I want to target those.
But instead you have 500 stories.
Right.
The other day you showed me you had like 72 hours of content.
Yeah.
just for one day, just for 24 hours.
Which is why I don't use the app as much as I could be.
Yeah.
So I think it's a big opportunity for them. They know it. Believe me. Hundreds of thousands of people have told them group snaps. This is not an innovative idea. This is just something that they haven't done yet, and that's a very intentional reason. And I don't know exactly what the reason is, but it's very intentional that they're not doing it.
Interesting. Tell us about 500. What do you do in 500?
So I work on the BD innovation team. And BD, business development.
Innovation team. Business development innovation team.
Yep, and I work with partnerships. So I work with our annual partners. 500 has a group of partners that act as mentors to our accelerator and our portfolio. And then I also work with like event sponsorships and other ways of generating new types of relationships for the institution.
For institution, for 500.
For 500, yeah.
So we have an accelerator. 500 is an accelerator.
500 is an accelerator and a venture fund.
Two businesses.
Two entities, yes.
Two entities.
Yep.
The accelerator takes companies, take a little chunk of them, like 7% probably.
It's a 6%, yep. 150,000 investment with a 6%.
For 4 months. You go through the acceleration program for 4 months. And then the venture branch does just investments.
Yep.
Right?
We have micro funds, which are some global, some of them are vertical micro funds. So we have like a mobile collective micro fund. And then we have our regular funds that we're raising.
So the fund itself also structured differently for different purposes.
Yeah.
Okay. And then partnerships. What are the partners for? Who are the partners?
So we work with, Amazon, Microsoft. We work, IBM, companies like that. And, people partner with 500 for a bunch of different reasons. Some of them strategic.
So those companies, they want you guys. And they will pay you money to get what?
Well, access. It's a lot of access. Access to our portfolio. We have 1,800 plus portfolio companies that span across a bunch of different industries. Some examples of portfolio companies would be like Wildfire, which was acquired by, I believe, Google. We have Twilio, which is a large company. Intercom, another large company. So these are all groups that have been a part of the portfolio, but that we have the reach to. So whether it's like alumni things, or whether it's people within the accelerator now, or whether we're doing investments with distro dojos, these are all different things that companies may want access to. So if I have company A, which is looking to acquire new technologies, then they'd be like, hey, let's have a conversation about partnering, because this could be a way for us to learn about new technologies, because company A does not specialize in finding new tech. They specialize in what they specialize in. We specialize in finding new tech.
Is that their venture branches? Like say venture branch?
Yeah, sure. It could be. It could be for whatever company. It could be like their venture areas, or it could just be a side of like innovation, of the corporate innovation. So it depends on who it is. We also partner with smaller companies who are not as big as like your IBMs or your Amazons, and they have different needs. They might want to get their products out there. They might want people to start using what they do, or aligning more with that brand. So there's a slew of different reasons, but I basically manage the day-to-day for those relationships.
And besides the money that the big companies pay to 500, they also sometimes provide their services for free.
Yeah, so we call it partnerships because it's not a sponsorship. It is a true partnership where these companies act as mentors to these groups. So our portfolio companies have access to these larger companies, and the relationship is a mentorship relationship. So they come in, they do office hours, they talk to our batch, they spread certain types of specialized content for these groups. So they'll maybe do a talk on serverless architecture or something really interesting that the group may benefit from knowing. So I am the point person that manages those relationships.
How 500 makes money? They make money from selling the startups, right? The exits that they do. That's the accelerator and the venture fund. But I assume there's also an income stream from those partnerships too, right?
There is. So there's income streams from business development as a whole. So working with corporates, working with partners, things like that. The fund and the accelerator are both investment models. So we invest in both of those companies. The accelerator pays a fee to be a part of the accelerator. So those companies will pay a fee that's lumped into the investment to us for that accelerator.
Is that innovative? Is that because I know the Y Combinator doesn't do this?
I don't know. I don't know Y Combinator's structure, but this is just.
This is basically there are two types of incomes here: the selling, the venture business, and then their partnership business.
There's a lot more. It goes a lot more in depth. There's like in business development, there's many different areas that we climb into, not just partnerships, but sponsorships, but corporate events, like education platforms, pre-accelerators, things like that, distro dojos. And then we have like the total investment arm of the company, which does straight up investments. So 500's a large company, and being there
How many people have been working there?
About 130, 140. So like large in terms of staff members, but also large in terms of portfolio. So even like being as early as I am, I'm not going to know everything. But it's definitely a very interesting place to be in terms of like how they make money, how companies in venture capital are making money. I think that there's this divide between entrepreneurs and venture capital. Not all entrepreneurs know what venture capital does. So for me, I'm having that as an entrepreneur myself, as somebody who's worked at like early stage companies, at later stage companies, and now working in venture capital or for a venture capital firm is definitely a new area.
New
for
skills and everything, knowledge. You mentioned that there is a new batch that's just happening right now. It's happened already, right?
It's
they
just
got accepted.
Just started.
It's already the people who got accepted. What do you know? What companies got accepted?
Yeah, I do. I can't openly talk about them because that is it's
what technologies?
Still private. The technologies are still private. The companies are still private.
What fields? Industries.
The tracks that we're doing right now for this batch are B2B, and then beauty and fashion. So those are like vertical tracks with which some of the groups fall under.
So 46 companies are falling only into
3 verticals, but there's other areas that kind of fall within that too. Yeah.
What's about beauty?
Gotta ask our venture partners.
What are they trying to innovate in beauty?
I mean, there's definitely room. Actually, I have
coming up with the new cosmetics.
Yeah, I do have this interesting group. I wish I could talk about them, but that'll be for the next time I'm on the show.
All right, and besides beauties, you said B2B, BDB, which
B2B.
is business to business, right? So services for business.
Exactly.
This is not new. This is just something that. But in general, what 500 is interested in? Let's say we will go tomorrow and build a company, aiming to get into 500, or we're already building a company and we need to know if we will get accepted or not. What kind of companies you think are suited for 500?
Mostly software. Definitely, I've seen a trend of software companies being the most accepted, but also companies that are really shaking up an industry, really doing something different. That may sound a little crazy, but it's definitely innovating. Obviously, like not all like innovating is true innovation, but they're doing something different that's not being done right now.
Even in the industries where there's no market yet, that kind of innovation.
Yeah, I mean that's absolutely there's innovation and there's disruption. Like there's people who are disrupting industries and there's people who are innovating in or for industries. So we have a group for batch 18, which is in San Francisco, that's all on digital health. So it's all different technologies for digital health. One of our groups, Siren, has a sock that will measure out key metrics for diabetic. So it's like a wearable type of sock that gives diabetics feedback on the health of their feet.
Wow.
So
you're wearing a sock.
So it's a sock. It's a very fashionable sock, nice sock, and it goes
fashionable. You mean you can wear it on the
events? It looks like a really nice sock,
and it has like a little wire.
It has a sensor that goes through the heel, and you can track it on your phone.
And this sock measures your level of insulin, or it's something to do with diabetes. You said.
Yeah, exactly. Diabetes
through the heels.
Right now, it's like the heels and the toes. Right now, basically, the process for using measurements on your foot is really hard for diabetics. So obviously I can't talk fully about them. I don't.
How about the batch that's graduating right now?
They're a part of the batch, but I'm saying I just don't know enough about their product. 46 companies. I'm not necessarily working with the product at all times.
You don't work. By the way, your department is more for the venture part, right? Not for the accelerator.
We work for both, but I'm more working externally.
Right.
So internal, there's all things going on. I know many of the companies. I have personal relationships with the founders, but in terms of like actually hearing about what their product is doing and where can they go from here, I don't work directly with them as a point of contact for like leading their product.
StatsBot, by the way, is a chatbot company.
Yeah, StatsBot. Yeah, absolutely.
Under what vertical are they? What are they part of? Do you know?
Well, the verticals change from
batch to batch.
From batch to batch. I don't know what vertical they're a part of in San Francisco, but we have had other chatbot groups come through as well. That whole bot artificial intelligence thing is really lifting right now. So I see that'll be a hot spot for the next batch in San Francisco.
Talking about the upcoming technologies, on your personal opinion, what do you think is really... So we have right now investments and venture capital companies focusing a lot on the VR, virtual reality, augmented reality, artificial intelligence, drones, and wearables. So people kind of moving away from mobile, and fintech. People are moving away from mobile, just the applications, although we still have big hits on the mobile platforms. But the venture capital firms, they're focusing on those technologies. What do you think is ready? Like 3 years ago, it was obvious you need to start an application on the App Store because the App Store was blowing up, increasing in sales.
Right. So I would say right now, artificial intelligence, in terms of horizontal and vertical types of AI, both are really they're ready, and we have engineers who are working on them in all different areas.
Do you think it's ready?
I think it's close. I think it's absolutely close. It's coming to a point where vertically we have a lot of different ways in which we can use artificial intelligence to fix issues that are in our everyday society.
Give me an example.
So I had a package with Amazon, and it didn't show up at my doorstep. And I don't. Why would I email Amazon? Like it's never going to get to anyone. I can go on my Amazon account and like report it being done, or I can talk to the Amazon bot. And this is fake. This does not exist. They haven't done this yet, but this is my future of it. It's like I'll go at Amazon in Facebook Messenger, in WeChat, in WhatsApp, whatever these things. I'll say like, at Amazon bot or at Alexa,
like
whatever it is,
right?
And I'll say, hey, where's my package?
I didn't get the package.
And then they'll say, okay, well, which package? And then we'll have an actual conversation based off of this package because it's inputs and outputs. They know what things I'll be talking about if it recognizes it, and if not, they'll forward me to where I need to be forwarded to. There's a huge market for that. Vertical customer service is something that's being kind of tapped into now. Like Zendesk is working on like tapping into that market. They're doing like a messenger type of like AI, but that's definitely an opportunity for a lot of companies to really take advantage of instant gratification. I'm a millennial. People under me are, this new generation, Gen Z, whatever we're calling them. They're going to want instant gratification. We need to adapt for that. Our generation are the ones who are going to be the adapters, the movers, the shakers. That's where I see the next technology going in terms of like artificial intelligence. One example is that vertical means of getting people instant gratification.
When you say vertical means of getting people instant gratification, you mean by I go on my chat application and get the response immediately? That's what
basically. So there's in terms of AI, you have your horizontal AIs, which are like your Siris, Cortanas, Alexas, whatever that is. They know a lot about a lot of things.
Yeah.
They have a ton of inputs and outputs. Yeah. Huge engineer groups
you
work
can
on
chat with her on the various topics.
Yeah, but you have groups who utilize bots like Uber, Drift, Zendesk, who are all groups who are utilizing bots, and these are vertical. These
They
are
need to be
focused
very
on like
niche.
one
Yeah.
thing. They focus on like, oh, hey, you're having an issue with X. Okay, well, tell me more about it. What I see this on my end. What do you need?
Yeah, and they need to process that
Or like
speech
Uber.
recognition. They
Or
need
like
to master
Uber.
it.
I need to order a taxi. Okay, for when? You know, it's like a very easy conversation to have, and people want that. People are constantly now in their texts more than they ever have before. Generation Z and millennials, it was some sort of percentage, and I don't remember where this is sourced, but it was like 65+% are get nervous making a phone call.
Yeah, I don't call. I'm not that young, but
we aren't calling anymore.
I don't want to pick up calls.
We're texting because it makes more sense. Because if I'm texting you, you could respond to me whenever is convenient for you, and that makes the world a lot more convenient.
Yeah.
So now I find with clients, even some of the people we work with at 500, some of the partners I text with because it's easier for them.
Yeah.
I'm in a customer service facing role. I'm helping them get everything they can and making sure we get everything we can out of the relationship. I'm going to text them because it's easy for them, it's easy for me, and that's a good way for us to communicate.
Which platform, by the way?
What do you mean?
Which platform would you usually text with your clients, with the customers?
Just through my cell.
Slack?
Through my cell phone.
Slack or Facebook? No, which applications?
Oh, applications like for messaging with clients?
Yeah. WeChat, Slack,
Neither.
Facebook,
None of them.
Telegram.
None of them. I just use iMessage.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's
With clients.
Direct text.
With clients, just direct text or emails.
You give them your personal number and you say, hey, whenever you need, this is my personal number.
This is the way of the world. Who has office phones anymore?
Yeah.
Nobody has office phones. Why would you call me at the office if you could reach me anywhere I am?
Yeah. My personal choice is voice messages. I love voice messages because I don't need to type. I don't want to type. I don't like typing. My finger's too fat for those keyboards.
I think voice messaging leaves certain people in a place of anxiety because it's still voice. It's still like
you still get
have to plan it. Yeah, you still have to plan it. Whereas like this future generation is not going to have as much of an ability to act spontaneously. Like our parents can have much better in-person conversations than we can because we don't do in-person conversations all the time. We're constantly in our phone planning out what we're going to say. Look at online dating. Look at people who are using your the League and Tinder and Bumble and JSwipe and whatever that there is out there.
Those are, by the way, the latest dating applications.
These people are planning out what they're saying rather than having a spontaneous conversation. Yeah. So I think we're going to continue to move further away from the phones, and we're going to move further away from voice chatting in general. And what I can see really taking off is once voice recognition gets to a point, people using a lot more of the like Siri, press a button and then talk, and then it'll convert
to text, right? Yeah. That's definitely something
that will be more of a future.
Should more embedded in all the application. I hope that they will bring it more up front for people to use it more often, because right now it's kind of buried deep.
Buried, totally.
Deep.
It's a weird word, I know.
Inside the application. All right, so chats. You said the vertical AIs, right? Artificial intelligence. What's definitely not gonna blow up? What's too early?
What's too early right now? I mean, virtual reality,
right
definitely.
Now, we had this conversation with you about the bubble in the economy, if there is a bubble or not, and you said that everything's still growing, kind of.
In different ways, yeah. We're the things we're working on today. We're not going to be working on in 5 years. It's going to be totally different. That's how technology has been on a trend. There's been a trend of like these things that are coming up, like the www boom, like the app boom. What is the next? Maybe the artificial intelligence boom. What right now I think is too early is like VR in terms of like using it in the workplace or like using it for real things.
Outside the gaming?
I think it's good for entertainment right now, and I think entertainment will be the first area to take off with VR, making creative content, games, video, those types
adult
of
content
things.
And games.
But what I can see happening in the future is somewhere in AR, VR, and mixed reality, we're going to have work applications. So like work and daily life applications, which will really benefit us, but we're not there yet. Like, have you used the HoloLens yet?
I haven't.
The HoloLens is a miserable experience.
Miserable.
It's not there. It's not at a point where like I would be a consumer using the HoloLens, or I would be at work using the HoloLens. It just doesn't make sense. Like the gestures are laggy. The screen is too small. It does not seem like it's at a place yet where it really will take on, and it will be something people use more than once. Like even wearables, like you're wearing a Motorola watch, right? I'm wearing the Apple Watch. I fucking never use this thing. I would be very surprised if there were people who like really were into their wearables. I use it to tell the time, and maybe sometimes I check my heart rate.
Do you get the messages, notifications?
I turn them off.
You turn it off?
I turn it off.
Why?
Drain the battery too much.
On their phone or on your...
On the watch.
On the
I
watch.
think eventually it will get to that point.
It didn't last you one day.
It lasts
With the
about a day.
notifications.
Lasts about a day.
But you don't want to charge it every night?
No, I don't want to charge it every night.
Because it's another thing to worry about
Exactly.
in the evening
Exactly.
when you go to bed.
Exactly.
Let's say when you're driving. It's still easier for you to look at the phone, right? You don't want to look... Because one of the...
I mean, we shouldn't
but
be
we
driving and looking at all. But we do, and I think that's a really terrible thing, and I don't condone that, and I admit sometimes I've done it as well, but I'm trying not to. Either way, I think wearables as a whole have a lot of room to grow, but they're just a little too early right now.
Yeah.
A little too early.
Like 2020 maybe will be a big year for wearables?
No, I think it's sooner than that. I think it's sooner than
18,
that.
19?
I think it'd be like, I think it'd be within the next 5 years, but it's towards the later side. Like, I think Snapchat is really, the spectacles is really the beginning of what we're going to continue to see down this line. Oculus, beginning. HTC Vive, beginning. All these technologies are so fucking early. So early. They have a long way to go. And I think if we're talking about like what is the right now, personally for me, that's artificial intelligence. I think there's a lot of different uses that if I was sitting and creating a team and I was saying, okay, I'm making a team, I'm going to find the best people I know, the top engineers, the top BD people, the top recruiters, whatever the hell I need to make a product, and I'm going to get them together and we're going to make a product, I would shoot for the artificial intelligence.
Don't you think when people say artificial intelligence, they're a little bit using it the wrong term? Because 5 years ago, artificial intelligence was a robot with whom you can basically have a friendship, with whom you could like date him.
There's so many things. Yeah, there's so many things that encompass.
It's basically the artificial intelligence comes from the creative thinking. Like that's for me, that's the definition.
AI also encompasses like a lot of different things. It also works with like machine learning and deep learning and all these different things. Like
those were the terms that people used 3 years ago.
Right. These are still terms that are in the fold. This whole section is very broad, and I think that's the next like app store thing. I think there's going to be a lot of new technologies that stem from this area over here of machine learning and artificial intelligence that will really lead the next series of innovations. But who the fuck am I? I have no idea.
Yeah.
Like, this is all speculation just based on my experiences in this field.
I just think that most of AI, what's called AI right now, it's just pure speech recognition. Just recognize the speech, match it to the database patterns, and that's it. Like,
hey, listen.
Zero AI in there. If that's AI...
If it is, I think it's...
Because for AI...
Whatever it is, AI, it's a way for people to sell what they're doing. I don't care about the language, and I'm somebody who's really intentional with my language, being a Native American. Well, not a Native American, but native to America. I'm very intentional with language. I think it's fine for people to be calling whatever the fuck they want with AI if they're doing something that is working within that space. So speech recognition and AI are going to go hand in hand.
Right.
Because AI needs to have that be a feature. So I think it's like an overarching term for the larger picture of what's underneath it. And once again, like I think this is going to change a lot. It's going to change a lot. We're going to have a lot of innovation out of that space.
To sum up, it's too early for VR. It's too early for wearables. It's right about time for AI. What about drones?
Drones are fine.
I just don't know enough about drones. I think they're cool. I think there's a lot of things that we need to work out. I think
Pizza. Why we still don't have pizza delivered? Why we still have here? 2 days ago, we ordered 3 boxes of pizza, and it's still delivered by a guy or like a girl. And actually, Gaoxing had problems paying because the payment was down, so he had to call. It was literally like a 2 hours thing happening. And we still waited for the person to do it.
I think it would seem like we're early on drones. Remember, the people who own pizza shops, the people who own supermarkets.
Techies.
Well, they're just not. That's not what they're thinking about. They're worried about their business. They're worried about growing their business, and there's not really a person telling them, "Hey, you could do this a lot better and save a lot of money because you're not paying someone a salary."
That's where the entrepreneur with a cool idea will come and say, "Hey, I'm gonna
Right. Well, look
subscribe to my service,
look at
$500 a
Squaddle.
month, and I'm gonna deliver you pizza. You don't need to spend money on the delivery
Lee
guy."
Zhang and Squaddle. Look at what they're doing. They're taking.
What are those companies?
They're making fast food fast. Lee Zhang is the founder of Squaddle.
You mean the other guy, Lee?
Yes, our guy Lee.
Oh, we're gonna have him on the show.
Squaddle makes fast food faster.
Squaddle.
So basically, there's a lot of paper processes.
This is way back from drones.
No. I'm gonna explain
That's
why
a
I'm
side
saying
note.
this.
All right, that's it.
Squaddle makes fast food faster by taking paper processes that they're doing now and automating them.
Mm-hmm.
Why did Lee do this? Because Lee had a friend who was working in this space, in the hospitality industry. He's like, why the hell are you doing it this way? Do it this way. That's going to be the market for drones when you get people who know others who are in like the pizza industry and whatever else we've used drones for and say, hey, you could do this a lot better. And I'm gonna help you do this and we're gonna make a lot of money.
Yeah.
But that's a process. Like drones you still can't get drones in a majority of people's hands.
Yeah.
And if you get them, they're shitty drones.
Mm-hmm.
So
they either fly through the window or on the roof.
I think
Or backyard.
wearables like watches are late. There's been so many iterations, but they're like early in terms of really making a difference, in terms of people really fucking loving their wearable, and in terms of it like really making a difference in people's lives, right? I think VR, AR, mixed reality, like it's definitely coming along, but it's a bit early right now to like look into for like actually making change. I think drones are also a bit early because of the reasons that we've talked about, and I think the artificial intelligence area of image recognition, speech text recognition, computer vision, the whole Watson, all of what Watson does,
the Microsoft Watson project.
Yeah, so these things I think are priming more so now than any of the other areas.
Awesome. That's where we should invest. Vertical AIs.
That's where I would.
That's where you would put your.
That's where if I had
hard-earned money. You would invest.
I am still not a true investor, but if I had to invest my time, and that's a really valuable resource to me, and I was, say, building a team that I needed to do the next big thing with, it would be in artificial intelligence.
Awesome. It was great chatting with you, Brett. I hope to see you again in our show, and we can discuss some latest news. Peter Thiel, for example. A little story of Peter Thiel, an advisor for Y Combinator, investing
1.25 million.
250,100.
1.25 million in Donald Trump's campaign. It happens.
And then the Сэм Альтман, the guy who's the founder of YC.
Well, yeah.
And Сэм Альтman is
one of the heads of YC.
One of the heads, right? And then the Thiel is the advisor, right?
There's some connection there, yeah. And
then everyone's pressured what Сэм Альтman, so he had to fire the guy, or like?
No, I mean it was the conversation was around whether like Sam would like kind of disaffiliate from Peter Thiel because of the decision that he made. There were some groups who said that they would cut ties with Y Combinator because of the whole situation. Just because of that. Well,
who would do that?
Trump is a demagogue.
Trump
is
literally. This is tech business. Who gonna cut the connections with YC because some advisor invested?
It's because it's so
Elon Musk is not Democrat nor Republican.
It doesn't matter. Elon Musk is from South Africa anyway, so I don't know if he can vote or not. But anyway, the idea is that people do not want to be associated with Donald Trump. Once again, I think people should have the right to have their opinions. If somebody likes Donald Trump, I know plenty of people who like Donald Trump. I don't support Donald Trump. I was a Bernie Sanders supporter, very loud and proud about that. Do I think Trump would be a good president?
But business.
I have no
politics.
idea. I think that people take this really personally,
Yeah.
and they should in certain
They should.
in certain ways. But Sam Альтман said a really good thing, which was, you know what, like, I can't firing him or disaffiliating with him leads down a very slippery slope of getting people with all the same mindset, extremists together, and that's not diversity of thought. Diversity of thought is something I really welcome, and I think, hey, if he's going to invest in Donald Trump, let him invest. That's his money.
Yeah.
I have no right to say, and that should not affect his personal life. If I really like Bernie Sanders and everyone else hates him, why should I get a negative outcome because of that?
Right.
Why can't I just like what I like?
Yeah. So let's give the Peter Til his right to invest whoever he wants.
Let's give him a break.
Especially $1 million. What is it for him? This is nothing. It's a pocket change.
It is nothing.
And even for Donald Trump, what is $1 million? Like commercial.
It's just an endorsement. He's getting endorsements. It's smart. It's politics. It's whatever he wants it to be. I don't think it's a big deal. But you have other Democrats out there. You have other independents out there who really don't like Donald Trump. Rightfully so. He's an asshole. Like, there's no hiding around that fact. He is a true asshole who is from my home state of New York, from my home city in New York City, and fuck Donald Trump. Like, I don't like him. But people have their right to have their own views, and I respect that. So
yeah, you would still do business with him.
Depends on what we had to do business for.
So you still kind of you understand those people who said we're not gonna do deal with
well, you know what? It's like, he's in the real estate business. Am I gonna ever work with Donald Trump? Probably not. I don't foresee myself ever working with Donald Trump. If I was looped in with him in some way, it would have to be for a certain reason. Like, what would I be doing business with him for? What are the terms of doing business with him? Yeah. Like, it's not that I would say I would never do business with him. It's that if I had two vendors and I had to choose one of them or Donald Trump, I would choose the other one.
Yeah. So those people who just left YC because of that, you should just tell them, oh guys, we don't have Peter Til as our advisor. We don't have anyone who publicly invests in Donald Trump.
So 500 and YC are not competitors.
They're not?
No.
Whoa. I was just about to finish this episode, Brett, when you're telling me this.
Huh?
Why is that? Why they're not competitors?
Why are we competing?
If anyone were ask me and Zhenya, name me two biggest accelerators, name me the people who just started this whole acceleration thing, it would be YC number one. It's number one accelerator in the world. 500 is number two, and Techstars number three. Why 500?
Because call it whatever you want, but competition.
Startup founders, they won't apply to YC. If they didn't get to YC, they're like, okay, I'm gonna send my application to 500. If they didn't apply to 500, then they're like, they still choosing between 500 or YC.
That's fine that they're choosing. You could choose anything. You could not even go to an accelerator. But the idea is that 500 invests in a certain type of people. We choose who we invest in, right? You can apply. Go ahead and apply. But we're going to choose that at the end of the day.
Right. And
people are going to choose and people are going to get accepted by Y Combinator at the end of the day. And YC and 500 will choose. So we're going to choose who we want to be a part of the program.
Right.
And
YC chooses too. What's the difference?
The difference is
why there's no competition.
There's no competition because it's not like we're gonna invest in every company that there is out there. There's plenty of companies to invest in, and there's like such a huge amount of deals to be made that where is the competition? Who's gonna get the best company? It's all about like connecting the people and who you connect with and who you work well with. If there's a company that fits in really well with 500 and our model, then they're probably gonna come to us. And if they fit in with YC, they're probably going to go to YC.
Imagine company X that just started and they have a huge growth. Like everyone's talking about them, and they maybe don't even need to go to combinator or accelerator. And the people who hunt for those companies from 500, they try to approach them,
and then the YC people try to approach them.
In my mind, it's a relationship game. Who do you have the best relationship with, and who do you get along with? The competition is like saying, okay, like, is it mutual? Like, do we who likes each other more?
Basically, you're saying that there is opportunity for everyone.
Yeah.
And there is enough.
There's plenty to go around.
Enough fish in the ocean to fish for.
Yeah.
All right.
At the end of the day, signing up with somebody, having somebody invest in you is a relationship. If you're going to invest in me, I'm going to want to know that you are in for my best interests. So why is it a competition?
Well, I'm sure they compete.
I'm sure people say they compete, and they can have a conversation, and they could definitely talk about why they're competitive, but I don't believe that.
All right, Brett, thank you very much for the chat. Snapchat 500 stories, you all unwrapped it for us.
Yep.
And your views on the latest technologies. I share your thoughts a lot. I still think the Instagram stories are the steal from Snapchat.
Yeah, whatever. Hey. Smart. They're smart. Instagram's smart. If you want to follow me, Instagram, Snapchat, at JetFink, JETFINK. And yeah, feel free to reach out if you ever want to talk some good stuff.
Thank you, Brett.
Thank you,
Спасибо,
guys.
товарищи, что были сегодня с нами. И подписывайтесь на Бретта, как он сказал, JetFink, @JetFink. И подписывайтесь на подкаст Деловерт. Всем спасибо и услышимся в следующем выпуске.